stuff. All right, let's talk about this. How many of you out there listening are electric car drivers? Well, it's been revealed that if you're paying about 10p more per kilowatt an hour of electricity when using a public charging point than the European average. In fact, the UK is the sixth most expensive country to use an electric car in Europe, according to data from the European Commission's Alternative Fuels Observatory. There's a title. Joining me to discuss this is Quentin Wilson, former Top Gear presenter and motoring journalist and founder of the campaign group Fair Charge, an organisation committed to making electric vehicles more affordable for drivers. Quentin, hello to you. It's been a while.
Hello, Henry.
Hi. Now, I'm a hybrid driver, partly because of this, partly for this reason. First of all, your reaction to this revelation that you might be paying about 10p more per kilowatt an hour of electricity when you use a public charging point than the European average, although that might drop if you are able to charge at home.
Yeah, I mean, look, it does drop when you charge at home, Henry. It's about 7.5p per kilowatt hour if you do it at the nighttime rate, which gives you 2p a mile. And then 80% of EV drivers charge at home, according to figures from ZapMap. But the fact remains that electricity in this country is far, far, far too expensive. I mean, if you look at industrial electricity, it's 25.8p per kilowatt hour here, and then 6.8p or cents in America, and then I think 17p per kilowatt hour in France. So, unless we reform our electricity network and our market, it's going to make it very difficult for growth and very difficult for people to charge electric cars on the public charging network. There's a myriad of reasons why we are more expensive. And, charge point operators, they've got to make money. They've made this considerable investment. The payback's going to take a long time. But we need some kind of government intervention to help. And I've written to the Treasury and visited, and it's like explaining your hobbies to a pillar box, asking for the VAT on public charging to be cut from 20% to 5% in line with domestic charging. But, they're just not listening because the optics wouldn't be good.
But Quentin, hang on, you say they're not listening, but surely this would be in line with their transition to net zero, with all the targets we heard when Labour were in opposition. And it was a bad week for electric cars in the news last week, was it not? Because we were hearing how the market's really stagnating in Germany and across the EU, and new registrations, August registrations here in this country, are plateauing.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a bad week for electric cars because of the anti-EV sentiment that's out there. We are going against vested interests, don't forget. And I think you've got to remember, Henry, that there is a big global macroeconomic contraction. I mean, people just don't have money anymore. So big purchases like cars are at the bottom of the list. But yes, we need to do something to stimulate demand, and the government needs to do a lot more. And then, look, at the Labour Party conference, what did we hear about EVs? Nothing. There was apparently a man who shouted, "What about EVs?" from the audience, and that was the lot.
He didn't get dragged out, did he?
He didn't get an answer, Henry.
Oh, man.
Look, if we've got these lofty and laudable ambitions, and look, that's great. Let's clean our air and let's reduce pollution, but let's pull some simple, tax-efficient levers to make it easier for consumers to adopt. And people like you, Henry, who with your hybrid, which is great, but they're not really that much cleaner than a combustion car. And you do it because you're worried about range anxiety, you're worried about charging. And I completely get that. But, government needs to step in now, having made all this noise before the election. Come on, let's have some delivery.
Yeah, I mean, haven't they postponed the deadline for the hybrids, etc.? Because at one point they were supposed to be banning the new sales of hybrids, just like combustion engine cars, from 2030. Now I think they've pushed it back a little bit, but also the price point's too high, isn't it? It's very expensive.
But it's new cars, yeah. And look, at Legacy Auto, they decided that they will make these big 3-ton electric SUVs that nobody wanted. What they should have been doing, and they had till since 2019 to make these model decisions, they should have been making 25 grand small EVs like the Chinese. And this is why European auto companies are so out of step with the market, and that's a really, really big problem. But look, the price of used EVs are now in parity with petrol cars. So you can buy some really good ones under 12 grand, and perfectly reasonable ones for 5 that'll do 200 miles.
But you don't get the tax breaks on used EVs. I mean, they used to get a tax break on a new EV or hybrid. I mean, I certainly did. I think they knocked it down by 5 grand when I bought mine new a few years ago. That was one of the attractions.
Yeah, they don't have any kind of incentives now. You do get tax breaks if it's a company car, but if it's a private buyer, it's zilch. And I mean, look, I'm not asking for tax breaks. What I'm asking for is just let's make it easier for consumers to do this and give them some form of support. I mean, you look at the London congestion charge, which has this exemption for EVs, which has worked really, really well. And you're in London, Henry, and I'm sure you see all the thousands of electric cars in London. And then December 2025, they're going to stop that. And it's a disincentive to do it. And all those vans, electric vans that we need in London, they won't be able to have a discount. And then we hear that, let's do pay per mile and charge electric cars. That's nuts. It's like saying, which is what Gordon Brown did with the diesel, that, okay, buy this car because it's better for the environment, and then buy your electric car, but we're now going to tax you to own it because it's a privilege. So, I need to see some clear-eyed policy from this government.
Clear-eyed, that's the term that the Prime Minister always uses. I'm clear-eyed, I'm laser-focused about this. Quentin Wilson, you have been so in our last 6-7 minutes of chat. Thank you very much indeed. And Quentin is a former Top Gear presenter and motoring journalist extraordinaire.